I think that President Bush made the right decision to stop going forward. When we advanced into Iraq, they were just fleeing up the highway and anything they could grab. They were driving POVs or whatever they had that was still moving north. And when our forces stopped, there was nothing between us and Baghdad. We could have just kept rolling. And if you take Baghdad, then you've got Iraq. But I think the reason they stopped was if we had gone in and caught Saddam Hussein then, it would have just destabilized the region. So that was probably the main reason that I think stopping was a good idea. Now, on the other hand, we could have avoided a lot of pain because it went on for another 10 years, you know, and he was battling the Kurds up in the north, and we were over there for many years doing Operation Deny Flight, and then we ended up doing Operation Iraqi Freedom, you know, so we got kind of, it lengthened the conflict. The public had a higher confidence in the military again. We were, you could see an increase in the pride of, you know, that we could actually were a viable fighting force again. I think after Vietnam, they went through, they call it the Hollow Force years, where they were just kind of gutted the military. And then I think during the Reagan administration, he spent a lot of money building the military back up and making it one of the finest forces. You know, luckily, when the war started, it's a come as you are party these days. You know, we had to take what we had. Luckily, we had a lot of kit, as the British call it, to get in there and fight with. And yeah, I think that we had a much better homecoming. My Uncle Pat was, when he came back from Vietnam, he just tried to settle back in to his life, and people treated him badly for being over there. They called him baby killers and threw things at him, and you know, it was very anti-war sentiment then. We came back to, when we landed at Myrtle Beach, they had thousands of people out there. Now, it was a lot of snowbirds from Canada, but it was just like, I couldn't believe all the people out there and just the pageantry, and just see the patriotism and people waving flags and a lot of red, white, and blue colors, and it was amazing. So we had a really good homecoming, and I think since then, even with everything that's happened since then, people still have a respect for people that serve in the armed forces. So I'd say that was different than Vietnam. We had questions, you know, when we came back, like, did you feel like you were in a real war? And because the casualty rate was so low. I think we had 168 people at first count. And I bet all of those people felt like they were actually in a war, in combat. And for those people, I would say I don't have that impression at all. I think it was very intentional to stop when we did stop. You know, and they would do, if you remember back then, on CNN, they had the nightly, battle damage assessments, or BDA, and General Schwarzkopf would come out and he would present charts, you know, and we killed 82% of the targets. And we would actually, after our missions, you'd fly 2 missions and go back to the hooch and turn the TV on to see what everybody else was doing, you know. And when we ceased hostilities, he got up and he says, here's your BDA, 1 Iraqi army. And they basically, they made the army ineffective. It was just, you know, we hit them with overwhelming force. So I would say no hollow victory at all. I would say it was total victory. I think the takeaway from the Persian Gulf War was that you honor your commitments. We had a commitment to defend Kuwait as one of our allies, and they had been overrun, and we had to get them their country back. I think another thing, it's a cliche, but slower is faster. We didn't just rush over there the next day. We did take a lot of stuff over there. In fact, we loaded our planes. We had no ordnance in theater when we initially took off out of Myrtle Beach, so we carried all of our bombs and everything with us all the way to Morone, Flew through the night, and then we got up the next day and flew. It was like 25 hours to get over there. When we landed, we thought we were going to gas them up and go north, but by then his forces had thinned out, and he'd stopped advancing. I mean, he could have kept going right into Saudi Arabia. So I'd say another thing is, take your time and get your allies. We had the coalition forces, get some buy-in. People that bordered with Iraq were going to have to deal with the aftermath once we left. So to have Syria on board and other countries that bordered Iraq was a positive thing, and have them ready to go. So I'd say that was the takeaway.